Hey, folks, if you're part of our Patreon community, you'll know that we're following along today with the German election. The exit polls are in 54 minutes, so we're going to know what happens there in terms of the far right and what that means for democracy today and heading into the future. It's going to be a bumpy ride. So that's what we're looking at today, and we've got some things to talk about with Chris Curry in the Bahamas. But German elections today, we're going to talk about them as the exit polls come out. But let's talk about this real quick. This is one of the tactical elements that the appeasers, the collaborators with the regime, and this is the language that I'm going to use. The collaborators with the regime are going to use, and to what North Countryman's post is referring to is Gunston Hall's post, Black History Month post, which is going ahead and cherry picking quotes from the founders, and pick whatever founder you want and define it however you want, because they certainly change all the time, to make sure that they are propping up every single one of those elite white male enslavers as icons of virtue, as all reluctant enslavers, that they just passively inherited it, and then they did the best they could with a system that was imposed upon them, without any ability to make any kind of change to it whatsoever, even as they're creating their own country. Blah 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 blah. So what this is referring to is George Mason, and Gunston Hall gets a lot of mileage out of this. George Mason at the Constitutional Convention made some very potent arguments against the slave trade and how wrong the slave trade was. And that was part of the debate over putting a sunset clause into the Constitution about the slave trade, which is something that Virginia had tried to do in the early 1770s by placing a broader duty on the importation of enslaved people, and had a lot to do with the fact about the supply of enslaved labor. But in any case, he speaks out against the slave trade, but at the same time, he is also speaking out against any idea of freeing enslaved people. Why? Because he, like all the rest of them, and they all say this, but you never find this on a pillow at a gift shop, you never find this on a mug, you never find this on a t-shirt, is that they are all absolutely, without a doubt, white nationalists. They do not believe in any respect at any point that white people and black people should live together in the same society that they call the new United States. That if they're going to be black people, then those black people have to leave. That the United States is made of, by, and for white people, even if black people are in fact doing all of the work. So this is, though, the kind of tactic that they will increasingly deploy. Now, these sites have done that as on a marketing basis for a long time now, but we're going to see all of this turbocharged into this narrative of unconditional commitment to liberty and freedom on the part of the folks whose words this new regime wants to continue to use to justify their claims to authority and to justify how they undermine the rights of everyone else. This is the key point of originalism, right? Originalism is the legal theory, if we want to call it that. It's just a legal fiction. It's just an intellectual cosplay. That the founders' words matter, not that they matter, but that they are controlling, they are determinative of our interpretation of the Constitution, of our interpretation of the laws. If it doesn't fit with what they said, and they cherry pick what they said, then it is illegitimate and needs to be erased. It is what they applied to the Second Amendment. It is the standard that they applied in many ways to eviscerating Roe versus Wade. It is what they have applied in a number of different contexts, but it is inherently this cherry picking, that they will just take the quotes that serve them and ignore the quotes that in fact give those other quotes meaning. So to help understand where we are, we have to also understand the tactics that they're using and call them out on it. That all of the founders, we can pick out We can pick out valuable comments from them, and we can interpret that as being, wow, weren't they upholders of these liberal ideas, small l liberal ideas of universal human rights? No. No. We had to put them into their context and understand that at the very base, they opposed the slave trade because they already had plenty of people they were brutalizing. They opposed slavery on moral grounds, but they also opposed ending slavery. And one of the reasons that they all give for it, James Madison explicitly speaks to this, George Washington explicitly speaks to this, George Mason explicitly speaks to this, and Jefferson screams it from the mountaintop of Monticello, is that black people have no place in the white society they are creating for the United States. And what is interesting about this discussion is that this is not about history as opinion, which is what they want. That side, the other side, the regime side, wants to continue to frame it as. They want to turn all history into opinion. They want to turn the Holocaust into a matter of opinion. If J.D. Vance, Elon Musk, the AfD in Germany, history as opinion, it's all a matter of just interpretation, as a couple of the comments even on that post suggested. No. All we're doing is laying out the truth. Now, this is the truth that is now forbidden and prohibited at the federal level. The NEH can't talk about it. Nobody who receives NEH federal funding can talk about it. Think about it. This is now prohibited at the federal level. However, we are going to continue to point it out. And every time you see it, point it out, lean into our community, lean into each other, call it out, and then we will continue to actually, on the other side, boost those voices that are telling the full, complete, intersectional, honest history. So thanks very much, North Countrymen. You've been here for a while. I appreciate it.